Hello, everyone. Welcome to Games, Guts, and Gore. I'm here with the very talented director, Andrew de Burgh. Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm good, Damien. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Andrew, one of the first things I always love to ask directors in particular is what was your first introduction to horror?
So yeah, that's a great question. So I think I've been a big horror fan for many, many years now, but going back to my first film that I saw, I think it was The Shining. I was around 12 years old, at a friend's house. I think it was like some sort of party or something. And they played The Shining, and I remember like just being shocked by it. Like it terrified me. I think it was like the shot of those two girls and then the like blood coming out of the stairs, like or it's the elevator, and like as a 12-year-old, that was quite shocking. But it was very, I think it was like, I couldn't watch it, but at the same time, like I was intrigued by it. Like I wanted to figure out what it was. So I think that kind of was the first thing. And then as a teenager, I got into like a lot of horror films, like I guess like Trick or Treat was one of them. I remember liking that. And then Korean movies like I Saw the Devil. And then I started getting into like the classics, like rewatching the Exorcist films like Child's Play, Halloween, Hellraiser, and that was my love for horror. That's how it started.
Yeah, I mean, those are some great movies, especially to start off with The Shining. I think if I took nostalgia's sake out of things, I would say Shining's probably my favorite horror movie. I find that one hard to beat. It's pretty freaky. I mean, I think that was the first horror movie that actually scared me. I think I grew up in a time where things were already moving towards like younger and younger people being desensitized to all this stuff. So like even though I grew up watching the Friday the 13th, at no point did they ever scare me or the Nightmare on Elm Street. None of those things scare me, but I remember I was probably about 12 when I watched The Shining, and that really freaked me out. I don't know, something about that movie. It's very unsettling. It's that psychological kind of horror, I think, that brings in that extra like fear factor.
It's genius. I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
one of the best horror films ever. Like everything, like even the opening shot, like with the helicopter shot with the music
Yeah.
playing as he drives up the hill, and Jack Nicholson's acting in that is just brilliant. Like it's
Yeah.
just a brilliant movie. The whole thing
Yeah.
is just the set design, the music, Danny riding the tricycle. Like the whole thing is just genius.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's super cool that you could actually stay in that hotel even to this day. I think that's super sick.
Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
They
wow.
actually just had a fire. Um, and I was worried when I read the article because I was like, oh my God, if I lose my chance to actually one day stay there, I'll be upset. I'll be mad. But apparently they got control of it pretty quickly. Apparently, I think it only affected the attic. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure the attic was the only thing that was damaged, and they already went ahead and restored it. So, I mean, at least more didn't get destroyed in that.
That's good. Is that in Colorado?
Yeah, I
The
believe so. I don't think it's called the Overlook in real life. It's called something else, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, it is in Colorado, I believe.
I wonder if you can stay at room 237, right? Is it 247?
There's
What's the
certain rooms, I believe, that do cost more. I think Stephen King actually stayed there, if I'm not mistaken. I could be getting two stories completely mixed up, but I'm pretty sure Stephen King stayed there and he did something. There's some significance with Stephen King staying in one of the rooms, I believe, and having like, you know, unsettling, haunting experiences and such. So I don't know. The hotel is meant to be haunted according to them. So
That's funny. Yeah, because it's interesting. Stephen King, I think, isn't a huge fan of that film, if
yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
mistaken.
Stephen King isn't a huge Stanley Kubrick guy, from my understanding. Maybe again, could be totally misreading that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
It's the opposite of me, then. I'm a big Stanley Kubrick guy.
So, outside of horror or horror included, what are some of your favorite movies, either or?
So I think horror films, I'm a huge fan of Train to Busan, the Korean zombie film. That's a brilliant film. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one. I think that's like classic. Just this concept, the story, the music. What else do I like? I like Get Out. That's one of my recent favorite horror films, and that was brilliant. Hellraiser, the first one, and the remake, I thought was really good. What else? Halloween, especially the first one. Some of the sequels I thought are okay. Child's Play, I think the first three are really good. Audition, that's a Japanese horror film. I love that movie. I think what else? Yeah, the original Exorcist, that's amazing. I like the Omen franchise a lot. That's one of my favorites too. I like the new one, the first Omen. That was really good. Um, what else? Yeah, in terms of non-horror, I guess a lot. Like I'd say the Dark Knight trilogy is one of them. That's like
It's hard to beat that.
it's pretty special, man. It's yeah, the filmmaking in that, like everything in that trilogy is like top notch. Acting, story, music, like it's pretty good. Lord of the Rings, it's another one of my favorites.
Another one, very hard to beat. I'd have to put Fellowship up there in one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm a big Boromir fan. That's my guy right there. I love that guy.
He's amazing, and it's yeah, he's for someone who doesn't have a huge role in that trilogy, like his impact is profound because
Yeah, yeah.
like he
And
kind of
Sean Bean, I love him just as an actor. I mean, even as Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. I mean, again, I watched all of Game of Thrones, the good, the very good, and the bad. And I think, spoiler alert, despite his character not getting super far in the show, um, he remained my favorite character the whole way through. I think it's
wow.
he I don't know. He's perfect in my opinion. He always plays such interesting characters.
No, he's great. One of my favorite roles of his is Goldeneye. He's the villain in that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love
Like
that too. I mean, he's great in everything. I'm not sure if you ever got the chance to watch it. He was in this. I think it was technically considered a limited series on Netflix called, I think, the Frankenstein Chronicles, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was just Frankenstein, but I'm pretty sure it was Frankenstein Chronicles. And I don't want to give anything away in that because that is like such an underrated, unknown show. I've heard no one else ever talk about it. It is so good,
wow,
especially the first season, but it is so depressing. Like
really?
you feel like you've gone to a funeral after watching. It is so sad, but it is so good, and I cannot suggest that to anyone enough to go watch that.
Wow,
And he's the lead role in that. I mean, next to Boromir, that actually might be my second favorite role of his. I mean, it
wow.
is amazing.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that show at all.
I think you could still probably watch it on Netflix because I think it was a Netflix original, and oh my god, it's crazy. There's like basically the sum. I haven't watched it in a while, so excuse me if I get anything slightly off, but basically the premise of it is he's kind of a detective. He has his partner, and there's someone basically like making these monstrosities around the town, um stitching up. I think they start with animals, but it quickly moves into people, and it's basically like Frankenstein creatures, but they are dead.
Wow,
um and they're just like these monsters, just different pieces of different people stitched together and kind of like left in places for people to find them. And it kind of basically starts from there, them trying to find an answer to this investigation and stop this guy. But it's nuts. It goes in so many directions,
wow,
and the ending, that's all I'll say, is the ending. Oh my god.
wow. No, I'll check it out because I'm always looking for new horror things to watch. So,
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And I actually think it's a British production. It's really good.
oh, nice.
It's
Yeah,
really
I'll
good.
try and see. Yeah, Sean Bean's great. I've seen him in. He's done a lot of different roles, like different things.
Yeah. Very versatile.
He's great. Yeah, no, he's. I think he got famous from a TV show called Sharp. That was like his
Yeah.
initial back
Yeah,
in
that's
like the
right.
UK. I think early '90s maybe.
I think he was a cop in that too, right? Something
Is
like
he?
that.
Isn't that like a historical thing? Or I'm trying to think.
I think
I
it
never
is a
watched it.
historical thing, and I think he also happens to play a cop. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, nice.
Not 100% sure though.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. Fellowship of the Ring is like a masterpiece. I mean, I've probably seen that more than the other two actually, because it's like
Yeah.
the first one, you know. Yeah, it's genius. I mean, yeah, that film is like it's just brilliant.
Even the Hobbit movies were pretty good.
Yeah, no, I like them too. They're well made.
Yeah, I know they didn't get as much love immediately upon first reception, but I don't know. I enjoyed them then, and I enjoy rewatching them now. I don't know. I think people were a little hard on it. I think it was just because it wasn't exactly like Lord of the Rings. People had a problem with it, but I mean, you can't
No, I
try
agree
to
with you.
just
I love
copy
The
it.
Hobbit. I think Richard Armitage is really good as Thorin Oakenshield in those films.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
performance is incredible.
yeah. Very likable character.
Yeah, because he's sort of like he's a bit mean at the beginning, and then he kind of
Hmm.
like you see his like good side. You know, like he has a good character arc in that film. Those films.
Yeah, it was cool for me in particular with the Hobbit films because as a little kid, my dad, like, I mean, I must have been really little, but my dad would read to me the Hobbit book, like, as I was going to bed.
Nice.
Um, so, like, I was, obviously I was a little kid, so I didn't remember everything, but it was cool. I remember at the time, watching it and remembering some of the things from that story, you know, come onto the big screen. It was really cool.
That's awesome. And your dad's British, so I mean, Tolkien's like a huge guy in
Hmm.
British culture. You know,
Yep, for sure.
Genius writer, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat him. It's hard to beat him.
I mean, I think didn't he take like 30 years to write the Lord of the Rings? Like it was just
Yeah,
insane.
I think he took a long, long time. And I know, I mean, there's a lot of cool influences in it that I didn't really realize until more recently watching documentaries and stuff. But like, I think, I think he was in the First World War, and I think he
Hmm.
based a lot of his experiences from the war into all the different scenes and struggles that the characters face in you know Middle Earth.
I remember reading that actually, and like, yeah, no, I mean, Tolkien was a genius, like no question about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just the soundtrack for those movies is amazing. Howard Shore,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
just so
I
good.
mean,
I listen to that a lot actually. That soundtrack.
yeah, it's a pretty pitch perfect trilogy. I gotta say, it is a pitch perfect trilogy. I can't really pick any holes in it.
I agree, and I'm like afraid of rewatching it so much because like I don't want it to get like stale for me.
Yeah,
So I think it's like every 6 months or every year I watch it. The trilogy. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is amazing, man. I guess another one of my favorite franchises is Star Wars.
yeah.
I'm a huge
Star
Star
Wars
Wars
is
person.
great.
Huge fan.
Which one is your favorite?
I'd probably say it's between Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
what about
those are
yourself?
probably two of the best films if I'm taking biasness out of it. I'm a big prequel guy.
Me too, man.
So
That's our
if I'm
generation,
being
right?
completely biased, I would probably rank it, Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and then everything else. It might not be accurate, but like I said, that's with bias included.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I'm a huge Phantom Menace fan. Like, I think it gets a lot of unnecessary hate. Like, I know Jar Jar Binks may be a little annoying sometimes, but
Yeah.
people give him like too much hate, man. And I mean, the pod racers, like Anakin as a kid, Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, like those are great characters, man.
Yeah, I mean, Liam Neeson, his performance as Qui-Gon is awesome. I mean, what a great character. And I mean, Darth Maul, awesome bad guy. I think it's interesting how they've kind of like retroactively brought him back through like the cartoons, and it looks like they're trying to lead up to a live action return. I know he kind of briefly
Oh.
appears at the end of the Han Solo movie. Um,
Yeah, but that wasn't really a great appearance. It was like,
yeah, it was just right at the end in a hologram. So it's like it'd be cool to see him back in action with his, two-headed lightsaber just going nuts. I'd love to see that.
no, yeah, me too, man. Yeah, Darth Maul's genius, and I mean Darth Sidious, like what a great character in that
Yeah,
trilogy, man.
yeah. And even Jar Jar Binks, like I know he's a little goofy, but I mean the hate that poor man received. I'm glad to see fans outreach to him now. I mean, I remember at the time it was so bad that the poor guy was literally on a bridge about to kill himself. Like it was
Wow,
that bad. Like he was so miserable from all
it's
the hate because
terrible.
people were like basically almost pinning the whole failure of the trilogy, or at least at the time, starting with Phantom Menace, the whole failure of the movie on his one character. And it is like, that is so unfair and so mean. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, there's some toxic Star Wars fans actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Like even John Boyega got a lot of hate. And I mean the kid who played Anakin too, Jake
Yeah,
Lloyd.
I remember hearing about like, dude, it's a little kid and he does a good
He's
job.
great, man. I mean,
But he is also like a child. Like you're a bunch of grown adults bullying a child? Like really? That's
yeah, it's like
ridiculous.
people are welcome to not like the movies. Like that's fine. Move on with your life. Like you don't have to attack some kid. Like
No,
it's just
no.
absurd.
And he was in that same kid was in one of the I'm gonna beat myself over the head for not remembering the name off the
Jingle
top
All
of
the
my
Way,
head.
right?
It's a
Wasn't he?
what was it?
Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Wasn't he in that?
Yeah. I think it was that. Yeah, it was the Arnold Schwarzenegger Christmas movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
It's funny, man.
Yeah, and
I
again, he
don't know if
does
I've
a good
seen it.
job. It's like I don't know. I think again, blaming a kid also for the failure of a film is so harsh. It's like my God.
No, I thought he was great in that film. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not even like what 10, 12 years old. Like, I mean, that's pretty daunting to be in a film like that at that age, and he did a good job.
Yeah, especially something as big as Star Wars. I don't think there are many franchises. I would almost say, if any, but maybe that's pushing it. I don't know, but Star Wars is easily like the top three biggest franchises to ever exist. Like I don't know, that's a big mantle to pick up.
And even Hayden Christensen, I think he's great. I don't know why people give him hate too.
He was super hated, and now it is like he is
Changed.
beloved, which I'm very happy to see because I would say Anakin is probably my favorite character ever, like across anything.
He's up there for me too, man. He's pretty
Yeah,
good. I
yeah.
mean,
I
the
mean,
fact that he goes from like an innocent kid to a supervillain is like genius
yeah,
storytelling.
yeah. That his transformation is just, and that's his transformation is the biggest reason. Obviously, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite because it is just so depressing in the best possible way, if that makes sense. It is just like, oh my God.
No, I agree with you. It's actually painful to watch because
Yeah,
he changes, and it's like
yeah,
it's hard to watch that. And then when he kills the younglings, that's pretty painful to watch, man.
yeah. And Padme killing her, and then
He doesn't kill her, right? Or doesn't she die like from childbirth?
she dies in childbirth, but I think it's kind of, or at least what I took away from it was that he was kind of responsible
Mm-hmm.
by like
Her sadness.
choking the hell
Let's
out of
try.
her
Yeah.
right before and stuff. So maybe I'm just making that up. Maybe it was just a perception I've always held and I've just taken that with me. But that's what I kind of took from it. But maybe I'm wrong. I honestly don't know.
Well, he definitely destroyed her hope. He broke her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they say to if you're pregnant to try not to be stressed out and all that, and I would say that that was probably pretty stressful for her.
Yeah, it's a very sad story. Like Darth Sidious, that's why he's such a great villain because that was years in the making, right? Like
Yeah,
manipulating Anakin.
yeah. I like how in those prequels you get to see him before he looks so gross. I like that you get to see like the more conniving side of him. It's cool.
No, it's genius. George Lucas is a genius.
Yeah. So, what are some of your favorite directors?
I have a few. I would say George Lucas is up there. Speaking of Star Wars, Peter Jackson, another one I love. Christopher Nolan, another favorite director of mine. Nicholas Winding Refn, the guy who did Drive, Only God Forgives, The Neon Demon. Huge fan of him. George Miller, love the Mad Max films.
Mm.
I'm trying to think who else. Takashi Miike, he's a famous Japanese director. He did Audition and 13 Assassins, another one of my favorites. What about you, man? Who would you say is your favorite?
Directors,
Or
man,
favorites?
that's tough. I mean, I am such a fan of so many different movies. I would say Christopher Nolan has got to be probably number one.
He's a
I would say
genius.
probably number one. I feel like every time he comes out with a movie, it is just like a slam dunk. It is just a hit every time. You know, when you're going to go see one of his films, you know you're going to enjoy the experience. I would say he's number one.
Peter Jackson, when you like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Jackson, I mean, again, he's another one of those guys where it's kind of like a slam dunk every time. It's like, I do like Stanley Kubrick. I do like,
He's amazing.
I'm a big horror guy, so like George Romero is really cool to me.
Sam Raimi, he's another great.
Sam Raimi is amazing. I love his take on not only, you know, horror films, but even if you branch out of horror with like Spider-Man. I mean, those Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, I mean,
they're classic, man.
I got a lot of nostalgia for Andy Garfield. I love that guy. And
he's
I would probably say his run, as controversial as this opinion might be, is probably my favorite. But the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, again, like, even the third one, which a lot of people diss on, I love all of them.
They're fun movies, man. I mean, you have like Venom, Sandman, Green Goblin in the third one. Those are 3 good villains.
Yeah. And like actors-wise, I really liked James Franco as the Goblin.
He's great, man.
And I mean, Tobey Maguire's just a great Spider-Man in general. Like I think, really captures the, I wouldn't say young, but like the kind of like hopeful, optimistic, and in a way young as well, I guess, Spider-Man. Like, I know Tom Holland, they really went for like, this is a young Spider-Man. I do not care for him at all. I do not like the Tom Holland Spider-Man at all.
I agree with you. I think they're overhyped. Like, they're not terrible films. I think the No Way Home was the better one.
Yeah, for sure. Out of all of them, for sure.
The Jake Gyllenhaal one was pretty forgetful for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I really like Jake Gyllenhaal as an actor. Like, I love him as an actor. And I think the best part of the movie was any scene he was in. But then it's just like, there's so much of the movie where it's just like, whatever, honestly. Like, I just didn't, I'm with you on that one. I just didn't really, very forgetful for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. Yeah, Tom Holland, I think, is not a bad actor, but I don't know, maybe it's the story, the way they're filmed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the whole direction with like the current state of the whole Marvel universe is a bit lackluster. I mean, I no longer feel the need to, the new Marvel movies out, we got to go, see it as quickly as to me is like, I will get to it whenever I get to it, and if I don't get to it, that is also fine,
I agree, man. I was watching Madam Web the other day. I was pretty disappointed.
I would say Madam Web is probably one of the worst things I've ever seen.
It's pretty bad, man. Like, I don't know, like the editing, the story, like the acting, it was just bad. It's just not a good film.
No, everything about it really was horrible. You don't see the costumes apart from like one like dream sequence. The bad guy gets hit by a car like a comical amount of time. He gets hit by a car like 5 times. It is so bizarre. Like, there's no reason to include in like a less than 2-hour movie the same guy getting hit by a car so many times. It was like actually a joke. It was so strange. There's so many. Some of the lines were so bad. Oh my god, I hated it. I really did hate it.
I stopped after like 10 minutes. I could tell it just wasn't good, so I didn't continue.
It was terrible.
And it's a shame because I mean, it's like they have a big budget to make a good film. It's not
Yeah.
like they're independent filmmakers.
Yeah, even that Dakota Johnson, I mean, she really went on almost a campaign as soon as it came out, even maybe a little bit before it came out, just like dissing it so
Really?
hard. And she got in trouble. Like Sony made like a public statement saying like, listen, like acting like this, like as we're trying to roll out the film, it's going to have consequences. Like we're never hiring you for another Sony production again. And I was like, jeez.
Yeah, I mean that's not smart of her to do that, even if you
No,
don't
it
like the
isn't.
movie.
It isn't. Even if she thought it was bad, that is just
Yeah,
it like you would have hoped she at least, even if she thought the film was bad, at least out of respect for like coworkers and the director and all that, like she would just keep it to herself. I thought it was a bit harsh for sure.
yeah, man. There's a lot of ego in Hollywood, man.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
There's a famous expression in Hollywood, like or in life, never bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what she did. I mean, that was, I'm sure, a very nice paycheck for her regardless. So,
Oh yeah, no doubt. But I mean, she's a huge actress. She probably thinks like, oh, I don't need this company.
yeah. Yeah.
She's good. I mean, she's not the best actress, I think, but she's okay.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes of her. So, I know you initially started off acting. What inspired your shift from acting to directing?
So yeah, I think it was like 2015. I was like kind of not getting many roles as an actor, and like I was going to auditions and stuff. So I thought like one of my friends was like, "Why don't you write a short film and you can act in it?" And I was like, "Okay." Like I was always kind of a writer as a kid. Like I enjoyed writing, so I wrote a script. It was Just One Drink. It was a short film, and then like I was interviewing directors for that job for that production, and like they didn't really fit my vision of the film. And I thought like if I have a vision for it, like I took directing classes in college, so I kind of knew how to direct a
Yeah.
little bit, although I was still very inexperienced. So I took a leap of faith and I directed it. It got like 100% critics score on Rotten Tomatoes. Like people liked the movie. But yeah, so I enjoyed directing it. Like I enjoyed working with the composer, like shaping the vision of the film. And then I thought, and then from then on, I kind of just started writing screenplays and trying to get jobs as a director, produce my own films, and here I am.
Wow. Wow. So, speaking of Just One Drink, I know a central event in that is Steve kills Andre, the man responsible for killing his grandfather in World War II. Andre's one of Stalin's right-hand men. What kind of inspired you to include World War II as a central theme to the film? It's something I rarely, almost if ever, see done in horror.
That's a good question, Damien. So yeah, I mean, I think I've always been interested by history. Like I studied humanities in college and like in high school, like I studied history and middle school and whatnot. So I was always interested in history. So I just thought that would be a cool like concept to
Yeah.
have something like have some sort of historical context. Like okay, maybe like there's justification for this revenge or something. So yeah, like it wasn't like anything. I guess it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing when I was writing the script. I was like, oh, this would be cool, and people liked it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's very, like I said, it's like something you rarely ever see in horror. So it was a cool, like, fresh angle on it. It was very cool, and I think very well done. And I think it's cool that you were able to kind of blend your interests and passion for history and historical events and such into the film. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm very lucky to be able to make films.
So, what event in your life made you know you wanted to be a part of the entertainment industry in general?
That's a great question. So, I think I was obsessed with films even as a kid. Like, I remember seeing Small Soldiers in theaters, Toy Story, Phantom Menace. Like, growing up with these films, so I was always like keen on films.
Yeah.
But then I think it was like Batman Begins was the movie that I saw like in theaters, and it inspired me so much that I just wanted to like find out how I could be a part of the industry. And I guess that's why I sort of thought I could be an actor. It's like you sort of think, okay, if I have an agent, I can go to auditions and like act in films. Like those days, like I had no idea how anyone could even become a producer or a director.
I see.
So yeah, Batman Begins, and then I guess just films in general that inspired me. Like they keep me going,
Yeah,
because
I
it's a
mean,
hard
Batman
industry, man.
Begins. That is, I think that's kind of symbolic. It being Batman Begins, Batman kind of finding himself and wanting to become Batman. You watching it, knowing you want to become a part of the entertainment industry. That's really cool. I think
Oh, thanks.
that's quite the film to inspire you. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. I didn't think of it like that before, but yeah, it's an interesting observation.
So you grew up also in many different countries. So not only England but France, Spain, Dubai, and I believe that's not even all of them. Did any of those countries and places you lived at influence you either culturally from their media, or did you get any influence from that you have applied to your productions?
It's a great question. I mean, I think I still watch a lot of British TV and films, so I would definitely say like there's some inspiration there, like great acting, good stories. And I guess even though I've seen films from all over the world, like and living in these different countries, I still, when I make movies or like I write scripts, like I believe that like despite all the differences we see in the world, like we have more in common than like people think.
Yeah,
Like, and that's kind of why I love movies so much, because they can speak to people of different socioeconomic backgrounds, different political views. Like people, Republicans and Democrats can enjoy horror films. Like,
for sure.
so it's like we can. That's why I love movies so much, because I feel like it can bring us together. So yeah, culturally, I don't think I like ever think about one country or the other. I guess
Yeah,
if anything, like American movies and Hollywood has inspired me more than anything, to be honest, because those are the movies I kind of grew up watching. Even when I was in other countries, like I was always going to see Hollywood movies.
yeah. Is that what made you kind of decide you wanted to make the move to America?
I think like my parents moved here, and like I think that probably influenced them moving here as well, because they knew
Yeah.
I was like obsessed with wanting to be an actor and get into film. Um, so yeah, I guess. But my dad got a job here, and like we've lived here ever since. So
Wow. How long have you been here?
since 2006, so quite a
Wow, so a
while,
long time.
a long time. Yeah, I was in high school at the time, so
Wow.
it's been a while. Man.
So speaking of some of your productions, you have some pretty iconic actors and actresses involved in them. I know one of your upcoming productions, Seductress from Hell, has Jason Font in it. What is it like working with someone like him who's very iconic and is also a star that is synonymous with a lot of people's childhoods?
Yeah, it's great you asked about that, because I really like Jason. Like I get along with him as like both a professional and a person. He's a really nice guy, very down to earth, very genuine, very very hardworking. Like one of the most hardworking actors I've ever worked with. Like really professional, and like yeah, he was. I guess the first time I met him, like the producer and I, like we had lunch with him to kind of like see if he could come on the project.
Yeah.
So we went to PF Chang's, and I was a little bit apprehensive, like nervous, because it's like I
Yeah.
really want this guy in my film. Like I hope it goes well. Like I don't want to screw up or say
Yeah.
something.
A lot of pressure.
Um, yeah, for sure. Because it's like it's a big thing to have someone like him on our film. And no, he was great. Like he was very down to earth. Like he really respected my vision. Like he really wanted to know like why I wanted to make this film. And no, he's just a good guy, and like a very, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's done well, like in the
Yeah.
industry. It's just people. He has a lot of people have good things to say about him. He's very professional, no attitude, no ego. So yeah, he's amazing.
That's awesome. And I'm glad to hear that he's like such a nice guy. I think sometimes, that there's that saying, don't meet your heroes. So I could imagine if you were a kid that grew up watching him, as many of us did, and if you met him and he was mean, that would suck. I know a couple of people, some friends and family members who have met actors that they grew up with and loved, and when they met them, they were just total jerks to them. And
It's
it
sad, man.
really is very crushing. And I can imagine that being the case. Like, it would be, I can't imagine how sad that would be. So it's good to hear that he's so kind and actually cares and is so fan friendly.
He's amazing. He even texted me the other day that he's like handing out flyers for our film at his conventions.
Wow.
You know, it's amazing. Like, yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole nother level of dedication. Wow.
Yeah, no, he's amazing, and like if you follow him on social media, like he's always sharing the film's posts. Like, it's just
That's
cool.
awesome. And that's really cool because it goes just beyond, like, okay, I did the part I was paid to do, and that is where my involvement ends. I think that is a sentiment a lot of people carry. Um, but it looks like he's really going above and beyond. That's awesome.
It's amazing because I agree. I would say like 98% of actors I work with, like they just move on after the film's finished. Like,
Yeah,
but he's like not doing that, you know. So, credit
that's
to him.
awesome. That's really, really cool.
Yeah,
So
it's
speaking about, some your upcoming projects, Seductress from Hell, can you tell the audience a little bit about it so they have an understanding of it?
so Seductress from Hell is probably like it's inspired by the kind of franchises I love, like Halloween, Child's Play, Exorcist, Omen. So it's definitely like has a heavy like 70s and 80s tribute, but at the same time, like it's a modern story.
Yeah,
It's basically an origin story about a Hollywood actress who, after like suffering a lot of abuse from her husband, physical and emotional, her husband's played by Jason Bourne. She kind of goes through this horrific transformation and becomes like a serial killer and like a sort of satanic seductress.
yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely an origin story. There's character development, there's like drama, there's like some dark comedy, and yeah, it's been getting great reviews, great press. So we're very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I follow you, of course, on Instagram and Facebook, and I would say more than once a week, see another stellar review, another stellar review. So, I mean, that's awesome that it's getting received so well.
Thanks, Damon. Yeah, we're very lucky. A lot of people put a lot of effort into the film, so it's great.
Yeah. So, I noticed the logline of the film mentions that Zara's husband is psychopathic. Would you mind elaborating on that a little bit?
Yeah, so Jason plays a husband, and he's like a frustrated salesman. He's like stuck in a job he hates.
Yeah.
California like has a high cost of living, so that's an issue in the film. His wife, who's the lead, like she's a struggling actress, so she's not making much money, but she's very dedicated to what she does. So there's a lot of like problems with the couple. So that kind of like basically his treatment of her is basically what like starts her off as this seductress, and this
Gotcha.
villain.
Gotcha. It sounds sort of similar to that cool theme from Just One Drink, where sometimes the revenge can almost be justified.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like that gray area. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen Pearl. That's a great horror film. I recommend that actually.
yeah.
Have you seen that?
No, actually, I haven't seen any of those. The X, Pearl, and I know they're coming out with Maxine. I haven't seen any of them, despite all the buzz about them. I still haven't seen any of them.
You have to, man. That's a great couple of films,
Yeah,
especially
I
Pearl.
gotta put that on my list because I'm always looking for either new video games, horror games, but not only horror games, of course, any video games or any, especially horror movies. Always kind of delve into, always on the lookout. 'Cause sometimes you're stuck in that endless scroll, and then you end up just watching YouTube.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I was rewatching The Collector the other day. I love that movie.
Yeah, I gotta
But
check
yeah,
that out too.
that's another good one. The Collector and the Collection.
So you not only direct Seductress from Hell, but just like many of your other productions, you also wrote them. Um, what does some of the responsibilities of a writer look like, and how rewarding is it to see, I mean, your ideas on paper kind of just be realized before your eyes?
It's amazing. It's a very cool. It's a kind of a surreal feeling, actually. I mean,
Yeah,
writing is a very tough job. You have to kind of like when I write, like I maybe a couple of months for a first draft. Like I don't do anything else. Like I don't really go out with friends during that time. Like I don't go out. Like you kind of just get in that mindset where you just like work all the time. It's tough, and especially
yeah,
writing a film as dark as Seduction Hell. Like it's not always easy. It's like you have to go to dark places.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, to make sure to kind of encompass the true feeling and mood, I'm sure that's tough, especially staying in kind of a mindset like that for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough. But yeah, no, writing is it definitely helps me as a director because like I've already written these characters, like I've seen the film in my head. Like I kind of know what to tell the actors I'm working with because I know these characters. Like, uh,
I'm sure that dynamic is very helpful because it's almost like, I mean, well, not almost, it's like completely your creation. And I mean, who better would know, how they would act, how they would think, what they would do in this situation, what would they do in this or that situation, who better would know? I think that's really cool. And I think, covering both those bases, taking both those responsibilities on personally, I think that can only really level your movie up to the next level. That's awesome.
Thank you. And yeah, and even producing helps too, because it's like when I interview people for the job, like I kind of see if are they a right fit for this film. Like
Yeah.
we had another girl actually who had signed on as the lead, and she kind of she sort of didn't really want to do such a dark role, so we ended up recasting it. So sometimes, like, even if someone's very talented or like great at what they do, like they may not be the right fit for a
Yeah.
certain project.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I can imagine horror in particular isn't always a genre everyone is comfortable doing, so that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, she kind of goes up for these like teenage shows, like she auditions for that. So it's like it wouldn't have been good for her brand per se. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
um, but no, the girl we cast did a great job. So
Yeah.
it
I
worked
mean,
out.
the stills you've released look awesome. So I'm looking forward to when that trailer comes out, and of course, I'm really looking forward to when the film itself comes out. What is the slated release date for the film?
So we're trying to do like a limited theatrical release, like sometime next year. We're
Awesome.
doing festivals right now,
Yeah.
getting some interest. So we're like talking about where we're going to do the world premiere and stuff. So yeah, I mean, sometime next year. We don't have a definitive release date because it depends on like who we work with as a distributor or like how the festival circuit goes. But definitely next year is the plan.
Awesome. Well, definitely definitely be on the lookout for that, and I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say we're all looking forward to that.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot.
Yeah. So, the games parts of Games Guts and Gore. I'm a huge gamer. Are you a gamer at all, and have video games ever influenced any part of your creative process?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge gamer as well, man. I've been playing video games since I was like probably 6 or 7.
Wow.
When I first got the PlayStation 1, like I think
Yeah.
Rayman, Crash Bandicoot, those were some of my early games. But yeah, no, I play video games almost as much as I watch movies, what am I playing right now? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the PlayStation 5. Amazing game. But yeah, no, definitely, it definitely influences my filmmaking because I kind of like, there's a lot of ideas I get, like visual story ideas. Like, I mean, video games are just, it's an amazing art form. And yeah, video games are a huge thing. I love games like Lost Judgment. That's another of my favorite. The
Yeah.
Yakuza franchise, Metal Gear Solid, The Witcher 3, another favorite of mine. That's actually has a lot of horror scenes in that too. Some dark stuff in that game.
I always like that about the Witcher games. There's a lot of different kind of genres it kind of covers within one.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, man. It's a dark series.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, video games are awesome, and like you said, they're a great way to kind of consume media. I mean, it's very interactive, and it adds kind of that like extra layer of immersion, I feel like, for that reason. And I feel like it also helps you feel more invested in the characters because you feel like, I mean, depending on the game, of course, but you kind of feel like you're almost the character, or you've made a lot of the decisions as the character. So I think it definitely builds that deeper, connection to it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's a brilliant art form. I think Evil Within 2, like I couldn't keep playing that. It was just too scary. Like,
The Evil Within franchise, a lot of people compare it kind of to a Resident Evil, but I would almost argue that, I mean, I do prefer Resident Evil just because I think also nostalgia's sake, I adore those games. However, the take that the Evil Within does with it is really cool because it kind of goes a layer up in the sense that like Resident Evil can oftentimes feel pretty arcadey and like
yeah.
it's not always super serious. I don't know. It's got lighter color scheme. I mean, all those things play a big impact on the overall desired feel of whatever the scene may be. But Evil Within, I feel like really sticks to horror, like grotesque monsters, unsettling imagery, dark, grainy gray colors. Some scenes are literally black and white, but a lot of scenes aren't black and white, but are so just like colorless. It's a great franchise. It's a great pair of games.
I agree with you. It's very, very dark. Yeah, it takes horror to the next level. Like Resident Evil, it's not that scary. I mean, some of it is, but I think Evil Within is like really, especially the second one. Have
Yeah.
I played the first one? I don't know if I have.
I actually just kind of recently started my playthrough of the second one. I only played the first one, so I've been
Nice.
enjoying it. It's cool.
Isn't there a scene with like a demonic priest or something? I remember that was like pretty shocking.
Yeah, I think there is. It's a great, like I said, pair of games. Another amazing, my favorite horror game, and probably I would say top 10 favorite games of all time, is a game called Outlast.
I think I've
You're
heard of that, but I haven't played it.
basically, there's like an evil kind of priest in that as well. And you're basically like a reporter that gets like this, I can't remember if it's mail or an email, but you get basically tipped off that there is this asylum, and not is everything isn't as it seems. I think the idea is that it's kind of abandoned, but almost as soon as you walk in, you realize very quickly it's not abandoned, and all the patients there have like, they all have kind of like like physical deformities, or like are literally like, it's an asylum, but they like take crazy to a whole nother level. But it is really cool. And then there's like, you keep uncovering more and more. You walk through. The scenes are great, and if you haven't, played it, I don't want to spoil it for you, but the scenes are great. The atmosphere is awesome. It is definite horror. The first playthrough I had of it was so like freaky, like it scared me.
Wow.
Subsequent playthroughs, you know what to expect, where things are, how to do what. But the first playthrough where you are like, this is your first time, you are lost. You don't know where the key items to get through to the next area are. A big part of it is there's no fighting at all in it. You cannot fight back. It is all you are equipped with is your camcorder, because you're like a journalist just recording everything, trying to get all the details you need to make a story out of it. And it's crazy. You literally just have this camera, and it starts dying if you use it too much. It has a night vision mode. It's the only way you can see in the dark, and most of the game is dark. So you're constantly relying on this night vision, and the battery is always going down, so you're always trying to kind of scavenge for new batteries, and it's crazy. It's a lot. It's stressful, but it's fun. It's stressful in the best way.
That's awesome. Is it on PlayStation 5? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's literally on every next-gen console since, PS4, Xbox One era.
That's amazing. No, that sounds great.
Yeah. I think I could just be totally misremembering this, but I think it was one of like the first games that kind of launched very close to the release of the PS4 and Xbox One. So I think it was
Nice.
one of those games that are like, this is kind of the power of the next gen. I think it was kind of one of those type of games.
That's awesome. I just started playing Resident Evil Village, but I wasn't that interested in it. Like, I don't
I don't
like
really care
first
for Village
person.
either, to be honest. I'm not a huge, and I know this is a very controversial opinion now, but Biohazard and Village, I didn't find myself loving. Biohazard, I liked a lot more. But I find it hard to play a Resident Evil game in first person. To
Same.
me,
That's why I
Resident Evil
stopped
should be
it.
third.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I haven't played. What was the other one you said? Biohazard. I haven't played that.
yeah. Yeah, it was just the one right before. Yeah, I'm a Resident Evil guy, so I'll play through all of them, even if it is like a painful slog that I don't enjoy. Which I kind of did feel with Village. I felt like it was very almost uninspired. I really enjoyed the very first segment in the castle. As soon as you leave the castle, I found it so incredibly just boring and dull. I don't really care for that game, to be honest.
Fair enough. I didn't like it. I don't like the first person thing. It's
No,
just
I did hear though that they released like a DLC, so I might revisit it for this. They released a DLC that gives it third person, so you can play the whole thing in third person. So I don't know. I think that would definitely elevate my enjoyment of it because it is just one of those things that is like constantly nagging me. Like I cannot get over the fact that it is in first person. I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with me.
no, I agree. I mean, it's a bit tacky though for them to charge for third person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have just put that in the regular game.
Yeah. I agree for sure. It's just like, man, I don't know. I mean, I get like the argument. I mean, it works with some games. Like Outlast is a perfect example where if it was third person, it would be nowhere near as good as it is because a lot of the fear is not being able to see what's around the corner. But with Resident Evil, it's such an established series and it's always been done this way that when it's done in first person, it doesn't even, to me at least, feel like a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I wonder why they did that.
Yeah. Like Village, like there's like not even zombies in that game. Like I don't even understand. Or creatures that even could like pass for kind of zombies. Like I know Resident Evil 4, it's like, you know, the virus and whatever, and they're like almost like possessed villagers more than like just a full-blown classic example of a zombie. But like they still like it still makes sense. It still feels legit and right in the franchise. They still kind of feel in a way like a zombie. You just start getting where it's like, oh, you're fighting a werewolf. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was thinking of buying 4 because I never played it.
4 is excellent. I mean, I'm very biasly 2 is my favorite. And the remake of 2 is pitch perfect.
It's pretty good. I did play it.
Yeah, I mean, and everything. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better complete rebuild of the game. It stays very true and faithful to the original. And you know, 3, I really enjoyed 3 a lot as well. But the 3 is very short. I mean, I started like I got like the 100% platinum trophy on that. I did everything there was to do in 3, but I remember I got so good at like a speed run route that I think my like the quickest I ever beat it in was like 40 minutes. I beat the whole
Wow,
game in 40 minutes.
that's crazy, man.
And I didn't use glitches or anything. I'm not that good. I'm not one of those guys, but like I beat it in 40 minutes. I was like, wow. So it is a short game just in general. It'll take you probably like 4 or 5 hours normally. But 4 is quite long and it is really, really, really cool. I mean, it's a fan favorite for a reason. So I would definitely suggest you pick it up. It's sick. And they released some cool DLC for it where you play as Ada. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on with 4. It's great.
Oh, nice. No, I'll have to check it out. I think Jason played Leon in one of the games or films or
Really?
something. Yeah. Trying to think, was it Vendetta? Maybe is that a movie?
I'm trying to think. I like the movies. I don't know all the titles off the top of my head. That could have been one of them.
I think it was an animated one. Though. It wasn't a live action one.
I got to check into that. I'm not sure.
I like the movies, but I don't think they're that amazing. You know what I mean? Like they're just okay.
They're like goofy. They're just kind of like
yeah,
very much face value. Like it's not serious. It's just like let's put this on.
yeah, they're fun, but they're
Yeah.
not like they could have been better. I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I will say this though: they are a million times better than the Netflix show.
Oh,
I don't know
didn't
if
see
you
that.
ever watched
I
it.
didn't see it.
It is abysmal.
Really?
It is actually a joke. It is a joke, that show.
Because I know it got a
Terrible.
bad rating, so I never saw it.
Yeah, it is just like it is like a slap in the face to Resident Evil fans. So I cannot suggest you not watch it. Dissuade you from that as much as possible. It is garbage.
Wow. It's a shame though when they get like these productions and they don't do a good job.
Yeah. I mean, the Halo show definitely suffered. I'm not sure about the second season, but it was similar. I mean, the first season was horribly received. The people behind it were like bragging about never playing the games before. It's like, why would you take it on if you've never played the games before? And why are you proud that you never played the games before? Like, if you're part of that production, that's embarrassing. Like
Yeah, why
that
would they
should be a
even hire
requirement.
people to like do it?
Yeah.
There's enough Halo fans out there. They should
There's
just.
so many. It's just so bizarre. And then season 2 kind of tried to tap into most people, well, a lot of people, including my own favorite game, Halo Reach, and they kind of like try to tap into that whole story, but I don't know how well they did that. I think it's kind of hard to recover. I know the Fallout TV show is being received very well though. So
I
that's good
saw
to
a
see.
couple episodes. I wasn't that impressed.
No, I haven't gotten to checking it out yet. I'm a big Fallout guy, so I mean, I know I will be probably pretty hyper analyzing anything and maybe a bit too critical if it's not what I want, but I don't know. I got to check it out.
Yeah, no, one of my friends, he's also the executive producer of this Seductress from Hell. He loves the franchise, the games, and he thought the show was good. So
I heard it's packed with a lot of references, so maybe it's just like fans at least get that extra, like, oh, it's that, oh, it's that, oh, it's that, you know.
the girl's really good in it.
Is
The
she?
actress, yeah.
I like the guy that plays the ghoul. His name is
Walton
eluding me.
Goggins. He's great.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. He's in The Hateful Eight too.
Yeah, that's where I first saw him.
Oh, really?
I love him in that film.
He's in a lot of stuff too.
Yeah. He's great. He's great in everything. I mean, every role he's been in, I'm like, yep, that is. He's definitely one of the standout characters in everything.
He's a very good actor. Like, yeah, he seems to be in so much stuff, but I don't know why I can't think of other things he's been in now.
I know he's in Sons of Anarchy. I'm trying to think what else. I'm kind of struggling to come up with some as well, but yeah, I know he's. Main thing I liked him from was Hateful Eight always.
It's a good film. Quentin
yeah.
Tarantino is a great filmmaker.
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorites, that's for sure. So, talking about music, music is a big part of films and kind of ensuring the scene's overall desired feel is kind of achieved. How do you kind of conceptualize the sound you would want, and how involved are you in the composing process?
I'm very involved in the same way that I'm very involved with like every process of the film. I work with a guy called Elazid. He actually is a huge gamer and he does video game soundtracks too. Like you should check out his music. He's very talented.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
But we thanks. He and I like have a lot of Zoom calls, phone calls, like discussing the music, like what I want in the scene. We have a great sound designer, Steve Campagna. He worked on Stranger Things, very talented as well.
Wow.
Thanks. Yeah, and he's like, we go over a lot of calls, and like, I'm very nitpicky about the music in the film. Like every single scene, like we discuss it, we have revisions. So yeah, he took 5 months to do the soundtrack for the Seductress from Hell. So yeah, quite a while. Actually, he even worked before the shoot as well, so maybe even more than 5 months technically. But yeah, we go over like we have like trance, we have jazz, we have horror music, we have like synth. So yeah, and I love music. I mean, I listen like when I work, I write scripts. I just listen to music the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. And I mean, movie soundtracks and such, I find personally, I don't know if that's exactly what you're referring to as movie soundtracks, but I find it when I'm working on stuff, whether that be something for the show, previous projects I've worked on, college work, whatever it may be, I always find that having kind of, you know, I have kind of my go-tos with what it is, but just kind of putting on those film soundtracks is kind of a great way to kind of, you know, I feel like I focus better, and it's just like, I don't know, maybe it takes the edge off a little bit when you're working. It's like, all right, I'm hearing some familiarity. I'm hearing something I enjoy. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I listen to film soundtracks like all the time, and video game soundtracks. I love video game soundtracks. Final Fantasy VII, that's a good one you should listen to, even if you haven't played the game.
Yeah, I got to check it out. And in terms of the game in general, I need to hop on that train. I think I've never played any of those games.
They're great, man. I mean, you can start with the remake 7.
Well, that's good.
It's a good one to start with.
That makes it easy. Sometimes when there's a franchise that's gone on for so long, you don't know where you're supposed to hop on. So that's good to know.
Yeah, because each one is different stories. Like, it's not the same.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like 7 Rebirth is a sequel to Remake, but like 6 and 7, 8, they're all different
That's
characters
cool.
and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So, outside of directing and your productions in general, what is one thing about you personally that is essential to who you are?
It's a great question. So I would say, like, for better or worse, I'm pretty angered by a lot of injustice in the world. Like, I think society could do a better job with being like kinder and nicer, and like same with people too. Like, I think, and I'm not putting myself like above anyone or anything, but I just think that, the world, we could have a kinder place, because there's a lot of unnecessary suffering. We have
Yeah.
wars, we have poverty, we have corruption, crime, it's just sad.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And
I mean, I think being passionate about these kind of things, I think it's going to take, a lot of work and a lot of people, but I think more and more people that are passionate about these kind of things, the more closer we are to making a difference. So I think that's awesome. And like you mentioned earlier, one of your interests with movies is how it can appeal to everyone, and it is kind of an art form and something, because there aren't many things. I can't really think of much else other than music that can bring basically anyone together, despite disagreements, differences, political affiliation, whatever it may be. So I think that's awesome.
thanks. Yeah, no, I think that's one of the reasons why I love movies, because like anyone can enjoy them. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be a certain like political affiliation, religion. You can just sit back and enjoy the film, the sound design, the music.
Yeah, for sure. So just to kind of wrap things up, are there any upcoming projects aside from Seductress from Hell that you can discuss?
Yeah, I'm working on a claymation Christmas short film right now, which is really fun.
That's awesome.
Thank
Claymation,
you.
that's
Yeah,
super
it's
cool.
cool. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm pretty busy with that, and I have a TV show like they're like 18-minute episodes. It's like a psychological thriller called The Twisted Doll. It actually got picked up by Z5 Global, which is like a Indian streaming platform.
Oh, cool.
And thanks. Yeah, so CPix is the company that made it, and they got acquired by Z5. So that's like, it has a lot of horror in that too. It's like a dark psychological thriller with some like Get Out type inspired scenes. And
Gotcha.
so yeah, I try and stay busy.
Yeah, sounds like it. I mean, your Seductress from Hell isn't even out, so it sounds like you got a lot of things in the pipeline.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's tough being an independent filmmaker, so you just have to keep trying and trying, It's not an easy business.
No, I'm sure. So, what are the best ways to support you and Seductress from Hell?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm not that active on social media myself, but the Seductress from Hell, we have like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter pages. So people, we'd love anyone to support us, follow the page, stay updated on reviews, releases. We're probably going to start releasing the trailer at some point, clips from the film. So yeah.
There you have it. So guys, if you're listening to this on YouTube, I will link everything Andrew just said in the bio. I'll have his socials and all that good stuff down in the bio. So make sure you support him. Stay up to date on all the news from Seductress from Hell. Andrew, I really appreciate you joining me here today, man. It was great having you on.
No, I appreciate it, Damien. It means a lot. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. And thank you, audience, for listening. I appreciate you guys more than you know. And I appreciate you all. And I hope to catch you on the next episode.
A podcast of terror, a haunting delight, unveiling the darkness in the dead of night. Horror movies and games, a macabre blend in the world of fear.